If you're watching this video, you might have some troubles falling asleep. Maybe you are awake too much during the night. So what comes up now will be helpful for you to prep your sleep so that your natural sleep all comes by itself much better. The good news is that actually sleeping and waking, you know, we're all programmed to be awake and be asleep on an alternative way. And the very important thing to know about is, you know, you might have a bad night's sleep, that will influence your day, but the other way around is as true. So everything you do during the day will actually influence your sleep. And the very good way to illustrate this is what cortisol does to you. Now, what is cortisol? Cortisol is one of the substances you will produce when you are stressed, but it is also a very important waking hormone. So if you wake up in the morning, you have a peak of cortisol, as you see on the graph. But by the end of the day, your cortisol needs to go down. That's why you need to wind down by the end of the day so that your stress goes down, that your waking state goes down, and that you are able to go to bed. Now, what comes up, I'm going to give you 5 basic rules, and then you can go through the practical tips. So, rule number 1, accept to stop. Okay? Rituals are a very useful thing to do. Just accept to stop in the evening. You know, you don't need to look at that last meal. You really don't need to be active all the day. Accept to stop. Rule number 2, do not sleep in front of the television and only sleep in your bed. Because if you fall asleep in the sofa, for example, in the evening, then actually you are going to take away a little bit of your natural sleep out of your bed. So falling in sleep in front of the television is really something you shouldn't do at all. So rule number 3, ditch the bedtime blues. What does that mean? You know, your brain needs to know that it's dark for it being able to go to the sleeping state, because you want to make a hormone which is called melatonin. And melatonin is the hormone which will start your sleeping process. Now, the more light you search in the evening, and definitely the more blue light you look up in the evening, the less sleep you will have. Okay, so that's another very important one, to prep your sleep about 2 hours before going to bed. Let the light go away, make it dark, dim the light, and very, very, very much take away all the digital screens. Another one, rule 4, very important one, is use the power of your positive thoughts. The more you will think positively about your sleep, the better you will sleep. And these are just a few examples. You know, of course, the best positive thought will always come from yourself, because you're the one that is able to generate it the most. But here are some examples. You might say, okay, everybody is made to sleep. So I am too. Everybody's programmed to sleep. You might say, it's okay to wake up at night, because you know everybody wakes up during the night. It's not the waking up that's the problem. It's the way you deal with being awake. So you know it's normal. Everybody wakes up. You can also say, okay, now I choose to let go, to try to control my sleep. I let go of trying to want to sleep at any case, because sleep is a natural thing. Another thing you can do is you can just give yourself reassuring thoughts like, okay, last night I didn't sleep all that good, but I was able to manage my difficult meeting today. So maybe having a bad night's sleep is not so bad all the time. You know, you can just like try to alleviate the stress about it. And another very neat thing to do is also, you know, move away the attention of your own sleep. Definitely move away from the negative attention. And maybe think about something, how you can be grateful to someone. Think of someone you're grateful to. Think of something good that you've done during the day. And the last rule, as an introduction to prep your sleep, is empty your head. And now it's very important when you do that. You empty your head before going to bed, and definitely before going to your bedroom, because you know, we know our heads are full of thoughts. We have so much things on our minds, and the thing about it is, the more you deal with that, the more you take care of that during the day, mainly in the last hour before you go to bed, the better you will sleep. So the tips that come up now are all meant to help you with how do I empty my head, how do I shut my brain down before going to bed and bedroom. A very neat and easy way to shut your brain down before going to bed is just simply take a walk. And I love this saying of Rashid Ogunlaro saying that take a walk outside. You'll be far better off than pacing around in your mind. And walking is such a neat thing to do. You can do it on any time of the day, and it's within everyone's approach. So take a little walk and have, your thoughts spinning around. At least you're doing it in the evening and not in your bed. This is a very good one. And of course, I think, again, you can do this one to shut your brain down on various ways. The thing is, talk about it. If you have a lot of problems, or if you know you're going to worry about things and saying, I shouldn't have said that, or maybe I should have rephrased, or I'm going to have to do that. Talk about your problems. There's a very neat thing that happens if you talk about your problems, because you are seeking social contact. And then you're going to produce a substance which is called oxytocin. And this is something you make and has anti-anxiety properties and lowers your stress. So if you seek social contact, if you talk about your problems, and you can talk in real time, but you can also talk like over the phone or something, then you will produce this oxytocin. It's also called the cuddling or the loving hormone. And it actually lowers your stress and your anxiety. So you are able to produce something all by yourself that lowers your anxiety. And of course, a very neat thing to do is have a very good laughter. Okay, laughing is such a great thing to lower your stress. Now, if you're someone who is rather into writing, or you're someone who has to do a lot of things, you're going to need to shut your brain down by some of these things I am going to explain to you. The first thing is, it seems to be a very obvious one, to make a to-do list. Well, if you're a perfectionist, do make a to-do list, but make it short, because otherwise you will be stressed by your long to-do list. And remember that the 3 things you have to do in the evening is relax, take a routine, and be positive about your sleep. Those are your principal to-dos before going to the bedroom. Another thing is, if you are a writing person, is write it down. If you have all these thoughts spinning around, a chaos of thoughts, well, take it out. Put it onto paper. Whatever happens in here, if you write it down, it usually becomes so much lighter, so much worrying, so much less worrying. You just take it out of your head. Definitely to do for you if you are someone who is into writing. You might just only take time to write about your emotions. And one thing that comes with this is, for example, it's a technical way, but it's a very neat way also, mind map your worries. Now, what is a mind mapping your worries? It's a very structured way to think about and to analyze in detail what you're worrying about. For example, you have a deadline and you're going to think about it and worry about it during the night. Okay, the deadline comes central. In one branch, you will kind of write, okay, what are the to-dos I have about this deadline? On the other one, like on the blue one, you might write, okay, what is good about this deadline actually? What's positive about it? On the red one, you might actually write, okay, why should you not worry about it? And on the other branch, you might write, okay, some positive emotions, the things you've already done, the things that will give you a good feeling. You can do the same thing, for example, if you have an anxiety, for example, and you know that anxiety will turn around and spin in your mind during the night. Then you write anxiety in the central part and you spin it out, okay? You mind map it. You say, what is worrying me so much? Why should I worry about it? If I would meet a friend who has this worry, what would I tell the friend about it? Just detail the problem, and then you mind map it. And it's out of your mind, so you shut your brain down, and then you can prep your sleep and really go to sleep so soundly. Zentangles, drawing Zentangles is amongst my favorites to shut your brain down before going to bed. Now, what is a Zentangle? Just a little bit about the story behind a Zentangle. This was actually discovered, made up, when a Zen Buddhist met a graphic designer friend while she was really relaxingly, really calmly graphically illustrating letters. And she was doing this with her full attention, and he noticed how zen she was while doing this. And that's how actually Zentangles were discovered. And it is a very simple thing to do. Again, this is not has to be beautiful. It does not have to be pretty or perfect. Just take one pen and a small piece of paper, like a Post-it. You divide that piece of paper into, you can make them like this, or you can make them the other way, whatever comes up in your mind. And then with your pen, you are going to fill in the blanks. So it is very important that, this is a good one about it, every line you draw, you're going to draw it with your full attention. Okay, so you just let it come up. It can be triangles, it can be waves, it can be circles, it can be spirals, whatever. Whatever comes up, every line you draw, you're going to draw it with your full attention. And actually, that's why Zentangles are a way to meditate. And again, if you do this before going to bed and before going to your bedroom, you are shutting your brain down. You are shutting down your stress. And that's why you might sleep much better if you take some time, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, doing this before going to your bed and bedroom. People tend to ask me, am I allowed to read in the evening? I say, yes, you are. And you can do it on two ways. This is the one thing you can maybe do in your bed. But you can also do it sitting in the sofa in the evening. But it has a few conditions, because you're actually reading to help you have that sleepy feeling again, okay? Because everybody can go to sleep, everybody is made for sleeping, and reading a little bit in the evening might just help you feel that sleepy feeling a little bit faster, a little bit better. So it's important to dim the light when you read at night, and also to take some readings which will not, bring you into the story, because then the story is going to hook you up all night and, of course, wind up your sleep and not wind down your waking state. So reading is okay, but preferentially something that is maybe a little bit dull, something that will make you feel sleepy, or at least something that is short and you dim the lights. And then, like if you read in your bed, you do it for like 5, 10 to maximum 15 minutes. And then it's okay for you to fall asleep afterwards. Music. Music is a great way to wind down. It can be any type of music, of course, but research has shown that Gregorian chants seem to be the most de-stressing music to listen to in the evening. Of course, I've already met people who really wind down and shut their brain down by listening to hard rock in the evening. So it's all up to you. But it's true that if you say, okay, I'm busy all the time, I need to stop. Maybe you can just stop and sit down and put on a music that you like, a music that gives a good feeling to you, and listen to a music for like 10, 15 minutes or even more. So music is a very good way to shut your brain down in the evening. The worry share. Are you a worrier? Are you someone who is really worrying a lot, as the feeling as if your bed is stimulating the worrying? As soon as you're in your bed, the spinning thoughts come up. Well, of course, people tend to say the bad news is, the worrying, if you are a worrier, you cannot take it away. It might be part of your personality, but that shouldn't be the problem. What you always can do is take the worrying away from your bed. And that's the technique of the worry chair. In the worry chair, you are choosing a chair or a sofa, something, but you're sitting. And you're sitting outside of your bed and outside of your bedroom. That's very important. You might even dim the light a little bit already. And you might take something to write down. But the idea is you are going to program yourself to really start worrying in that chair outside of bed, a bedroom. And just let it come up, you know, just let the worrying come, because what you're doing then is you are like reprogramming yourself. You are reconditioning yourself to do the worrying, because you cannot take it away, but at least you have been taking it away out of your bed. So that really reprograms you. And then you can go a little step further and challenge those ruminations, challenge those worries. And here are some examples to challenge you. You might say, what's actually the evidence that what I'm worrying about is true? You might also say, what is maybe a more positive, more rational, more realistic way to think about these worries, so to think about all this that I am afraid of, for example? What is actually the probability that what I'm worrying of will really happen? Because sometimes, you know, we tend to say that only 5% of what we worry about might actually really happen. And then a very good one is also think of a friend, and what would you say to that friend who has this worry? Maybe you come up with some very reassuring thoughts that you're actually saying to yourself. Also, you might take some notes about this. This is the worry chair. You cannot stop worrying, but what you can do is deal with this worrying on a different way and reprogram yourself to do it on another place and in your bed. And this one, stretching is great. Definitely, if you are a person who has some pain during the night, for example, or you wake up all stiff, stretching and counting, I think that's a very important one to combine both, is a neat way to wind down and take stress and tension out of your body, and to help you put the stress a little bit down. So the idea is you choose a position. Anyone. You might ask help from your general doctor, you might ask your physical therapist, for example, for a position that suits you to stretch. And then you take that position and you start counting. And the idea is that you're going to do breathing cycles of 10 seconds while you inhale and you count to 4, and you exhale and you count to 6. So if you inhale, you're going to count to 4 and do it through your nose, and exhale and blow slowly out through your mouth and count to 6. So you know that if you have done 3 breathing cycles, you've been in the position stretching for about 30 seconds. If you do it 6 times, you've been in the position for about 1 minute, and then you can change position. And now you can just do this and really focus on the breathing. You can also add some thinking. You can say, okay, I'm doing this, I'm just breathing, but I'm running over what I've been doing the last hour or today. And then actually this is something also you are, it's helping yourself not to do it in your bed. Or you might just have some positive or funny thoughts and make yourself having a good feeling about it. But stretching and counting, and you can just maybe do it just 2 minutes will be enough. Because I know it can happen. It might be late. You might feel so tired and say, no, I'm so tired, I'll just go to bed. But then the tiredness is sometimes a sign of stress, and you'll take that tiredness to your bed and your stress as well. So you will be far better off taking those just 2 minutes to stretch and count and then go to bed, than just wanting to go to bed by all means and then actually being awake too much during the night.